As we approach the year 2025, one of the most significant financial concerns for families and individuals across the globe is the increasing cost of food. Rising food prices are not just an inconvenience, they impact budgets, family decisions, and overall economic well-being. But why are food prices climbing at such an accelerated rate? Several factors, ranging from global trade policies to climate change, are influencing this trend. Understanding the reasons behind this surge in food costs is essential for both consumers and businesses to adapt to the changing economic landscape. In this article, we explore the top 10 reasons food prices are climbing in 2025. 1. Supply chain disruptions. The COVID-19 pandemic, followed by geopolitical conflicts and trade tensions, disrupted global supply chains in unprecedented ways. In 2025, supply chains are still struggling to return to pre-pandemic efficiency, with transportation costs, labor shortages, and international trade barriers contributing to higher food prices. Delays in production and shipping further limit the availability of goods, causing the prices of both raw materials and finished food products to rise. 2. Climate change and extreme weather events. Climate change continues to wreak havoc on agriculture, with increasingly erratic weather patterns, droughts, floods, and wildfires damaging crops across the globe. In 2025, these environmental challenges are expected to lead to lower crop yields and reduced supply of essential commodities like grains, vegetables, and livestock. As a result, the scarcity of these goods pushes up prices, particularly in areas heavily reliant on agriculture. 3. Higher energy costs. The cost of energy, including gasoline, electricity, and natural gas, plays a pivotal role in food production and distribution. Higher energy prices make it more expensive for farmers to power machinery, for manufacturers to process food, and for distributors to transport goods. As energy costs rise due to global energy policies, particularly in the wake of geopolitical tensions, food prices are inevitably impacted, creating a ripple effect across the food industry. 4. Increased labor costs. As labor markets tighten and wages increase, businesses often pass the higher labor costs on to consumers. In 2025, minimum wage hikes in various regions, combined with labor shortages in agriculture and food production industries, are putting upward pressure on food prices. Workers demand higher wages to meet the rising cost of living, and businesses must either raise prices to cover these expenses or reduce staff, further exacerbating the issue. 5. Increased agricultural input costs. The cost of inputs like seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and machinery is climbing in 2025. Fertilizer prices, for instance, have surged due to global supply issues and rising costs of natural gas, which is required for fertilizer production. As agricultural input costs rise, farmers pass these costs on to consumers through higher food prices. The increased cost of these essential inputs also contributes to lower production efficiency, further driving up the price of food. 6. Global trade policies and tariffs. Trade policies and tariffs, particularly those introduced by major economies such as the United States and China, continue to disrupt global food markets in 2025. Higher tariffs on imported goods like foodstuffs and agricultural products force importers to raise prices to offset the added cost. Countries that rely on imports to meet domestic food demand face higher overall prices, which is then passed down the supply chain to consumers. 7. Rising demand from emerging markets. As emerging markets, particularly in Asia and Africa, continue to grow economically, there is increased demand for food, especially protein-rich and processed foods. The growing middle class in these regions is shifting dietary preferences, increasing global food consumption. This rising demand puts pressure on global food supplies and drives up prices, especially for commodities such as meat, dairy, and grains, which are already facing supply constraints. 8. Shortages in key commodities. In 2025, ongoing shortages in key food commodities such as wheat, soybeans, and certain types of seafood continue to drive up prices. Several factors contribute to these shortages, including poor harvests, trade disputes, and logistical challenges in reaching international markets. These commodity shortages cause the price of a wide range of food products, from bread to cooking oils, to escalate. 9. Government subsidy reductions. In some countries, including the U.S., Reductions in agricultural subsidies have led to higher food prices. When governments reduce financial support for farmers or food producers, those producers are forced to raise prices to cover the shortfall. The resulting increase in the cost of basic food staples is often felt most keenly by low and middle-income households, which can disproportionately affect consumers. 10. Currency fluctuations. Currency fluctuations and the strength of the US dollar also play a significant role in the global food price landscape. A weaker dollar, for example, makes imports more expensive, raising the price of food goods that rely on foreign production. With international food prices tied to the value of the US dollar and other global currencies, fluctuations in these currencies add an additional layer of unpredictability to food costs in 2025. The rise in food prices in 2025 is a multifaceted issue that affects consumers, businesses, and governments alike. From supply chain disruptions to the effects of climate change and geopolitical instability, there are many contributing factors that are driving up the cost of food. As prices continue to climb, it's essential for consumers to adjust their budgets and consider cost-saving strategies like meal planning, cooking at home, and supporting local producers. For policymakers and businesses, it's crucial to work towards sustainable solutions that can mitigate the impact of these price hikes on vulnerable populations and ensure long-term food security. Understanding these top 10 reasons behind the rise in food prices is the first step toward preparing for a more financially stable future.